Phillies are back in the division. They're back in the playoffs. They're playing great. Sweep a team for the first time through a playoff series, Mike.
Yes.
And it really was their pitching that really carried them. They're hitting with...
Do you think?
Yeah.
Holy moly, did those boys pitch the baseball. And
that was fun
not only Hamels and Halladay, but the bullpen in the second half of Game 2 of that series. 4 different pitchers. So at this point, when you have 4 different pitchers all being effective, maybe you take a look at the Reds a little bit, maybe a little bit, but still, I thought Halladay and Hamels were just phenomenal.
I did too, and I really think the matchups, it suited the Phillies as much as I was worried about the Reds because they had the best offense in baseball going into the playoffs.
I think you were worried a little too much about the Reds.
Well, I'd rather be that than the other way. When everybody in the nation starts picking the Phillies, it makes me nervous. When was the last time a Philly team who was picked to win actually won something?
How about the NFC Championship game when they went to the Super Bowl?
NFC Championship when they went to the Super Bowl. How many times did they go to the NFC Championship game and not make it?
But they weren't always
How many
prohibited
times
favorites in those
Tampa
games.
Bay, they were supposed to win. And when they played Carolina, they were supposed to win. There were several examples with the Eagles where they were supposed to beat those teams and didn't. So, hey, we're doing a Phillies segment, not an Eagles segment here.
But we digress.
They get the Giants now, who I think had a great matchup against the Braves. Basically gave the Giants as well as the Giants pitched. The Braves in their errors. Most of those games, the Braves out-hit the Giants.
The Giants, I think, more than any other team in the major leagues, is we've got this really good young pitching in Lincecum and Kane and who's the left-hander? Sanchez,
Sanchez,
and
who's done numbers on the Phillies.
And we're just going to try to get it done with that, which I think is almost an placing too much importance on just pitching, because if you look at their everyday lineup, and we were talking about this earlier. Who on the Giants could even start for the Phillies on that starting 8?
Well, 2 of the guys the Phillies didn't want anymore. I mean, they could have paid money and kept Aaron Rowan. They could have paid money and kept Pat Burrell. They didn't.
And Aaron Rowan and Pat Burrell are not even everyday players.
Rowan barely made the playoff roster. Burrow has had a nice second half with that team after being cut by Tampa Bay and having a year and a half of really poor baseball with the Rays.
And they're not it's the reason that they're not everyday players is not because they've got Willie Mays and Barry Bonds out there either.
It's this hodgepodge. Cody Ross was the savior for them against the Braves, the outfield they got from the Marlins in August. But you go through the position by position. Their best player is probably a rookie in Buster Posey. And he's the catcher. I'll take Ruiz over him.
Yeah, I think most people would take Ruiz over
Howard
him right
over
now.
Aubrey
Maybe
Huff.
not for 10 years.
Utley over Freddie Sanchez.
It's not even close.
Rollins probably over Uribe, I would think.
Yeah.
Third base, you got the Kung Fu Panda and Sandoval playing. I'll take Polanco there. You go through Ibanez or Burrow. I'll take Ibanez right now. He's playing better.
Yeah.
Victorino or Rowan.
So I mean, I think the Phillies' top 3 pitchers match up well with the Giants, although it's close. But the everyday lineup, everything else about the team, the Giants have a good bullpen too. I mean, I'm not, the Giants are there for a reason. I'm not saying the Giants stink, but I mean, at a certain point, you match up position by position, and there's just no comparison.
Phillies, I may actually give the Giants a slight edge with pitching. I'm curious to see how their Phillies' third pitcher, Oswald, I'm going to call him the third after what we saw from Halladay and Hamels, the 2 H's, the O and the H2O. When he first came over to the Phillies in that trade, the first game out against Washington, he struggled. He was pressing too much, and he admitted it. It looked like he was pressing against the Reds,
I'm not concerned about him.
I'm curious to see how he bounces back.
I think he has electric stuff. I think he has a track record in the postseason. Remember the Houston team that he was on with Pettit and Clemens?
Sure.
I mean, they're there, but I'm not worried about Oswald. I think the Phillies are going to be fine in this series. The next series we'll probably talk about in a future Low Post if there is a next series. But for this series, I think the Phillies are in pretty good shape.